Happy Tuesday, everyone, and thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we've got a lot to get to. We're going to break down player by player what Arizona needs to do. Again, going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast as I am traveling to Sacramento today, but we will be live and on the ground right there. But let's get started here on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats, and we just got to that. All right, big time stuff coming up for the U of A. Now, we talked a little bit about yesterday about Princeton and previewed Princeton, but now let's talk about what the University of Arizona needs to do, because I'm still a believer that when you are a better team, it's more about what you do than what the other team does right there. And first, to me, and again, I know it's all about guard play, but this game, to me, this all starts up front with the peaks. I think that Arizona with Azuolas Tubelis and Oumar Ballo, they have to dominate. And not only do they have to dominate, they have to be the team that they put up something like 35 and 20 pretty much every single game. And it's really no reason why they don't need to need to do that, because again, 35 and 20 is why Arizona has the best front court in college basketball. And again, Azuolas Tubelis, a lot of people remember last year struggling in the NCAA tournament, and it wasn't pretty. Really no other way to put it. It wasn't pretty. And but so far, so good this year. He's exercised some of those demons, but this is still going to come down to what he can do on the biggest stage. And that's where I think everybody is still a little apprehensive. You want to see what Zoo can do. You want to have full confidence in Zoo, but again, people do have memories. So, but again, I think Tommy Lloyd is very cognizant of this. Tommy Lloyd is much smarter than me. And I do think that Tommy Lloyd will have him try to get him the ball early, quick action type situations where he can get the ball and he can drive to the hoop and he can take care of business and get that confidence, get those juices flowing. Because keep in mind that if he doesn't get those juices flowing, then it can be kind of a little dicey, especially a guy too for a big man. Big men rely on getting the ball early. And you certainly, if you're Arizona, you certainly want him to be getting the ball early where he can make his moves. He can start pivoting. He can start doing that. Then Oumar Ballo, leader of men, our guy. Oumar Ballo has to play big in this game. There is no doubt about it. Oumar Ballo has to be that dude. And I believe that Oumar Ballo is going to be that dude. It's going to take him a little bit of time. But again, I think that as he feels the game out, I think he's going to be just fine. So those are the two guys right there that Arizona, in my opinion, needs to be able to get going and needs to get going early. Now, because if you get those two guys going early, then it becomes a lot easier. I think it becomes a lot easier for Arizona. Now, everybody, and I've been told this on Twitter many times, and you know what? It's true. The big men up front, this is all about guard play in the Pac-12 tournament and the NCAA tournament. I get it. But here's where I'm saying. I think Arizona's guards, to a certain extent, are a little bit limited. I don't expect a ton out of Kerr Kriisa. I don't expect a ton out of, let's see here. Courtney Ramey's a bad example. But guys like that, I expect solid contributions. I don't expect great contributions. And that, to me, is kind of where it's at with those guys right there. But, again, I do think that this is a situation where Arizona can get by with solid guard play, but it can't be mediocre guard play. It's got to be solid, and then that's where I think that Arizona can be very effective. All right, then our guy, the Swedish pinball, Pelle Larsson, need him to continue to shoot the way he's shooting. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. That's what I asked for out of Pelle. And you know what? I believe that Arizona fans can get that out of Pelle because Pelle is good enough to do that. Then you got some other guys up front. We got to talk, Sed Henderson, another dude. Big fan of Sed Henderson. Love Sed Henderson. He's just got to continue to roll in a manner in where he's letting the game come to him, playing some effective ball, and again, letting the game come to him. Big fan of Sed, as you all know out there. I think that he can have a very, very nice performance out there. Then it becomes a little bit interesting because Kylan Boswell, the freshman point guard, big fan of Kylan Boswell. As a matter of fact, I'd like to see him play more minutes, not less minutes. But I would like to see him continue to progress. Now, I think the thing that has really, really impressed so many folks is the shooting of young Mr. Boswell. Because again, that's something that I didn't necessarily see coming, and it's been quite impressive to watch right there. He's shooting the ball with confidence, and not only is he shooting the ball with confidence, it looks like when he's let loose with that thing, he's expecting that ball to go in, and that's where I think it's exciting. The way that he has progressed has been fantastic. You'd love to see him continue to progress in the manner in which he has, because if he can continue to do that, you're Arizona, you're feeling pretty good about your chances if he can continue to do that. Also, a big tip of the cap to Tommy Lloyd for allowing him to be able to continue to do that, because again, I think a lot of people were somewhat circumspect that this would really be the case. But I think right now we are in we're at a spot where we kind of know what we have. We kind of know what we have with this roster right now. Those are the guys, though, up front. Again, those are the players. Arizona's got a tight 7-man rotation. I don't look for much action from the backup peaks or Adama Ball. Maybe a little bit, but I don't necessarily see it in this spot. All right, now let's talk about FanDuel. You might say to yourself, Mike, I've heard about FanDuel. What is FanDuel? All right, FanDuel is where you can go, sports betting app. There's nothing better right now than to go onto FanDuel and FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. You got the NCAA tournament here. You've got the NBA playoffs right around the corner. You got baseball. I don't even like baseball, but you know what? It becomes far more exciting if you have something like a FanDuel entity in there. Then it becomes more exciting. So again, that's why FanDuel is here. Check it out, FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. Make every moment more. And again, this is the time of the year where betting's always fun, but this is where it is. Again, bet responsibly as always. But again, check it out, FanDuel Sportsbook. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk more about the rest of the region. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, got to talk a little bit more about the rest of the region right here. Now, there's a lot to be intrigued by if you're a University of Arizona fan. First and foremost is that listen, you're going to get Princeton, and then you're going to get Missouri or Utah State. If Arizona can't get to the Sweet 16 after playing Missouri or with Princeton, then Utah State and Missouri, then you know what? Probably didn't deserve to be there. It's just kind of that spot right there. Now, you might say to yourself, anything can happen in March Madness, and yes, that is correct. And anybody that thinks that is obviously a very smart person. I would only venture this, though. I would only volunteer this, that yes, anything can happen in March Madness. This is very, very true. But you also have a situation here with the University of Arizona where you have a spot where you should be able to win these games. Not only should you be able to win these games, you should be able to win these games. And honestly, these should be fairly easy games. But then once you get to the Sweet 16, it becomes a different animal. It becomes a different animal entirely. Then that's where you got Baylor hopping in right there. Baylor, the Baylor Bears. Listen, Scott Drew is a very, very good coach. He's a coach who is let's be honest here. His resume speaks for itself. National title game, a bunch of three. Well, the pandemic year they would have been a 1. Last year they were a 1. They're good. And then I hope that Alabama gets knocked off early. Don't have a lot of respect for Alabama, the way they've handled the Brandon Miller situation. As a matter of fact, I think it's appalling how they've handled the Brandon Miller situation. But, it is what it is at this point. But Alabama is long up front. Javon Quinterly, Jaden Bradley, they don't worry me a ton at the guard positions. They're good. Again, don't want to make it out like they're not. They're good. But I also am not terrified of them, to put it mildly. Maybe other reasons. But Brandon Miller's obviously awesome. Not a good dude, but obviously a great player. And the way that he can take over a game is fairly next level. You don't see it a lot in college basketball, especially for a freshman. But hopefully they can get knocked out by Virginia or somebody like that maybe they take for granted to a certain extent, and they take for granted. And Virginia sneaks up and beats them. That's what you would seriously like to see happen if you are a University of Arizona fan. And I'm not sure that it won't happen. But after that, you got West Virginia's, you got Maryland's. Hopefully, again, they get a little bit nervous because like I said, there's a twofold reason I don't want to play Alabama. First of all, I don't think that Arizona matches up very well with them. Actually, first of all, the reason is because I think the administration there is slime. But the way that they play, the way they match up is also really difficult for Arizona. But that's kind of where you're at in this region right here. Now, again, I'm going to give you a couple national thoughts here in a second. We're going to take a quick break. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we're going to talk about right now the rest of it. I like in that brutal West right there. Kansas is very, very good, but they get a brutal second-round matchup possibly with Arkansas. I think that Arkansas can win that game. I like UConn out of that region right there. UConn, super, super talented. Reminds me a little bit of Alabama and just kind of their physical gifts. I like them. I do like Houston still to come out of the final or to make the Final Four. The fact that they're the betting favorites on FanDuel, leads me to believe that Marcus Sasser is going to be okay. And if Marcus Sasser is okay, then I think that that team should be ready to go. But again, this is the best time of the year right now. Love March Madness. Again, like I said, a little bit of shorter pod today as I'm traveling, but tomorrow going to be live with you on the ground in Sacramento, talking about everything that's going on right there. My question, though, is this. I believe that what Tommy Lloyd has, or not a question, my statement is, I believe what Tommy Lloyd has done with this team this year has been some next level stuff. It's been incredibly impressive. And you got to remember, too, that at this stage in the game with Tommy Lloyd, I thought this would be a top 15 to 25 team, something like that. They're better than that. And that is a real testament to the man we affectionately call the Tommy Gun. Because, again, we talk about there's one star on this team. Then there's a lot of other dudes that are just kind of out there. Again, not kind of out there. Let me take that back. Some very, very solid role players. But when you look at the Arizona teams that have generally been high seeds, they've had multiple stars. They've had multiple guys that you knew would play in the NBA. This isn't that situation right here. And I think some of it's smoke and mirrors. Some of it is just this team playing together in the manner in which it has. But either way, you got to give a real shout out to Tommy Lloyd and what he has been able to do with this University of Arizona basketball team. All right. Excuse me. Now, signing off right here. Like I said, tomorrow, coming to you live from Sacramento. We need everybody here back in the A, though. This is where it's at. NCAA tournament, March Madness is here. This is what Arizona fans live for. All right. I am your host, Mike Luke. You have been listening to Locked On Wildcats. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will talk with you tomorrow. You've been listening to Locked On Wildcats.